Hello everyone, and welcome to our Circle and Salve Women. Today's Transparency Day, and as I mentioned last time we spoke, I was going to be discussing about giving of yourself. And really the focus for today is to give of yourself, to not to a point of where you find yourself empty. And so I'm going to go through some of the recommendations I have in your daily steps in making certain that by the end of the day, you're still feeling filled, and that you're not feeling as if you've dug below your empty level. And so the first step is when you wake up, even before you get up, you could be lying in bed. Ask yourself, where are you feeling at that time? Because maybe the day before you were heavy burdened, lots of things going on in your mind, and for whatever reason, you just weren't feeling right going to bed. And that happens to many of us, if not all of us. So when you wake up, you have to ask yourself, if I were to rate myself at this time, where would I stand? Am I at a 5, where you're kind of feeling gloomy, and it's hard for you to get to that 10, and you just know that to get to a 10 would take a lot of work? Or are you at a 7 where, yeah, you're feeling it, you're feeling like a little bit of a sunshine, but you know you're not quite at your 10. I mean, 10 would mean like you just can't wait to get up, and you just have all this fire and sunshine on you or within you that you just want to spread to the world. That is that 10 feeling. But for the most part, for myself, like if I'm feeling like, okay, I'm about an 8 right now, I also know that if I was just to go and do something to fill it, again, going back to the first discussion of knowing how to fill that emptiness, you could say, oh, well, you know what, maybe if I just go and hit the shower or go and do a quick workout, then I would get to my 10. Or maybe if someone just doesn't talk to me for the next 30 minutes as I wake myself up and unwind a bit, then I'll get to my 10. But really take that time to reflect. Where are you at when you wake up? Again, that's even before you get up. Ask yourself, self-reflect, so that way no one is caught off guard, and you are not caught off guard on how you're dealing with people as soon as you are interacting with your spouse, your partner, your children. You know, if you are off to work, you have to be able to relate to yourself first and know where you stand so that you have a plan of attack for the day. And so knowing where you are at that given moment before you even interact with the world is very critical in knowing how much are you able to give that day. And then just be real with yourself and go, okay, right now I'm about at an 8. So if someone takes from me, that's going to put me at a 7 or 6. So maybe I need to do some things to get to myself to a 10. If you just don't have time and you know you're running off to work and you know you're working at an 8, then here are the things that you then have to go and do as you're getting ready for work, as you're getting ready for the day. And that would be understand your non-negotiables for that day, understand your needs for that day, understand your wants for that day. We give ourselves to those 3 things. The non-negotiables are, you got to go to work. You got to take the kids to school. These are things that you know there's really no way of getting out of them. It's just like your body just has to go on autopilot, and you're doing it. You got to give that moment in time and energy of yourself, and you take care of it and you get it done. Those are your non-negotiables. Then your needs are, man, I really need to clean this house today. Now, granted, if you really don't need to, but you want to, you then have to think about that, because you know, your needs and wants, that could be a thin line between what you desire and what you prioritize. But if you really say to yourself, you know what, this would make me feel better today if I just had the time to do the laundry, if I just had time to vacuum the house, and that's your filler, then you have to understand that's a need, because that is part of your filler for that day. And then make time to go, after work, I'm going to go straight home. I'm not going to do anything else until this gets done, because that commitment for yourself is really the key. You cannot keep setting your needs aside and thinking you're going to do your wants first. okay, prior to your needs. So another need would be, okay, I've got to go ahead and make sure that the children are taken care of. I've got to go talk to that teacher today, or else this will continue to bother me. A need is something that, you know, if you don't handle it right away, it's going to keep eating you away. And you have to make sure that you prioritize that for that day. And just make a realistic list. Do I have time to do this today, or can it wait tomorrow? Because your needs could be spread out throughout the week, but you also then have to prioritize as to what is it today that where I need to, that I can meet this one need. Okay, what is it today that will allow me to go ahead and make sure that I check this off, this one need that I need to do? And that way you can address that, whether it be making a phone call, whether it be talking to a coworker, those things that are bottling you up, again, to refill your energy, to refill your day. Deal with the needs first, because your mind, your body, your heart, and your spirit's telling you, you know, you got to address this because it's in the back of your head all the time. And if you don't address it, then you're going to feel troubled the entire day. And that's that emptiness. When you're giving to others, it's not just necessarily where you're giving, where you're taking away from yourself, but it's also a way to replenish, recover, because sometimes what you have to give, you got to give sometimes to get back what you need. And so in that case, think about it. I've got to go ahead and you know, take care of these bills. I've got to go ahead and address this matter. Those are your needs. That's your giving need. Okay. Again, don't think of that as a non-negotiable unless there is that line of you're saying, hey, you know what, if I don't do this today, then a lot of consequences will follow. So again, you could make it a non-negotiable, but understand the difference, right? Understand the difference that a need you can set off to tomorrow if it can wait, but just know it's going to keep aching at you if you don't handle it. Now with a want, that's, I need to go hit the gym, right? And for us right now, under restrictions, you know, it could be, I just need to go and do a quick cardio on my own. I just need to go and, you know, take a walk on my own. Or your wants for others is, I need to go and talk to this friend who is needing me at this time, because it may not be your need, but it is a want for you to make sure that you fulfill your roles as well. So I want to go take my children out for ice cream. I want to go spend some time with my husband. And, you know, these are things that you prioritize and ask yourself, do I have in me, however, to give that from myself? And so by the end of the day, or excuse me, by midday, you then have to self-reflect again and go, where am I at this point? Rate yourself again and say, okay, I was an 8, I found myself back to a 10, but where am I after work? Or maybe during work and I'm at lunch, you know, or maybe throughout the day and your children are walking home, you know, coming back from school, or that you are seeing your children back at home, or that your spouse is home. I mean, just that midday, pick a time where you can say to yourself, let me then now self-reflect and rate myself one more time. Where am I in my self-love fill? So am I at a 10, a 9, an 8? And you know what? Maybe your day was so heavy that you're down to a 3. And that's when you have to be real with those people around you. It is not fair for you to just lash out at them, not knowing where you're coming from. So you need to be like, hey, today's a rough day. I just want you to know, if I say something, if I do something, it is not on you. Just know that I may need to step away and just regroup and get myself back together. You know, if you are identifying yourself at that level, it is not to anyone else's fault if they are irritated by your presence, if they feel that your presence is not helping them, because everyone is carrying themselves at a level of 1 through 10. And if 3s and 3s, you know, that may be, they say misery loves company, and that's great. Maybe you need to be with someone who just doesn't want to talk at that time, and both of you can be grumpy at the same time. And yet, you've got someone who's perky, who's at 10, and you're at 3. That could kill you right there. I mean, like spiritually go, oh my gosh, I can't take this energy, this happiness, this joy coming from someone right now. You know, they're illuminating with so much brightness, and yet you are feeling a bit dark. So then you've got to work yourself out. Once you have identified where you are midday, then ask yourself again, where are my non-negotiables? Okay. Now that I'm done with work, oh, that's right, I've got to take my children to their sports practice or their music practice. Oh, that's right, I've got to run these errands that my husband and I agreed would be my part to do. Okay, and those sometimes the things you have to do that are non-negotiable, they're not fun, right? Because it's just, you're just like, oh, I just got to do it. Then be robotic about it. Get it done, suck it up, and then just move on once it's checked off your list. The non-negotiables have to get done. That just means there's no excuse, no discussion about it. They've got to get done. It's part of your day. Then after your non-negotiable, then you are focusing again on your need. And maybe at that point, honestly, if you're one of those people that say, I need to get my hair done today, and you are being real, not being selfish, because again, at this point, if that's what's going to make you feel better, you have to also take into account that other people in your love circle are involved. So if you say you need to get your hair done, but you know that it's going to cause a consequence between you and your partner later on because that wasn't part of the deal and you weren't taking care of business, all the things that you were supposed to do first, then that's going to cause you some consequences that may end up taking away from you even more. So address that giving of yourself to whatever it is. Now, you may think, well, that's not giving, that's actually taking. Actually, if you think about it, every time you give money, give time, give your talent, you are really taking away from yourself. Because as soon as you're paying whatever cost it is to do your hair, it's taking away from your pocketbook. It's taking away now from what you could have done with with your children, with your partner, or for yourself, for something else that you actually probably needed first, or something for the home. So that giving of self includes all of that. And this is why sometimes people think, well, why do I feel so empty after I went shopping? It's because it was a want and not a need. And so again, go in that order, your non-negotiables. And again, that non-negotiable to then your need, to then your want. There could be a thin line between that, but be mature about it and accept for yourself and be clear with yourself as to say, which one truly is a non-negotiable today, which one truly is a need today, and which one truly is a want today for me to give. If a friend is calling you last second and saying, I really need you to come over right now, you're the only person I can talk to, and you know it's a dire situation and you need to be there, and you're like at a 6, you got to make that decision. You know, at one point, I had a friend that had called me and they were way across the other side of the town. I had 3 children to pick up after school. My husband was going to be on their way home. And I had to make the decision of, am I going to be a really good friend right now and drive all the way up there, or take care of what I already had established for my day to give? Because you have got to understand that sometimes it is okay to say, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with not being able to give a part of my time, my money, my talent today, because this is what I've already had situated for me. Everything is at a cost. And every time that you give something of yourself, think about it, okay? You have to then refill that. That's why we go to work, right? Or that's why some of us continue to make investments, because they know that every time they spend money, they know that the reason why they're trying to do that is to try to get something in return. And that is that fundamental financial piece. Spiritually and emotionally, you have to think about it in that same way. When you're giving to other people, you cannot give what you don't have yourself. And so at that point, you've got to make that decision. And yes, sometimes people are going to be like, you know what? You weren't there for me when I needed you. And that's when you have to be real and saying, I have children, I have my husband, and be at peace with yourself to know this is my inner circle. You have got to identify. That's going to be our next topic next time, is identifying your inner circle, your outer circle, and then those outside of your circle, because you have got to identify for yourself where you are in giving that day. And so again, coming back, when you wake up, not even when you're getting up, rate yourself. Where are you from 1 to 10 of your fill, your inner self fill? Where are you at that point? And then start to reflect, or start to really think through, what are your non-negotiables for that day? What are your needs for that day? And what are your wants for that day? Because whatever you're going to be addressing, you're going to be giving either your time, your money, or your talent to. And you are going to think about that as you go ahead and address them. And sometimes when you don't have time to address them, and if you have not planned ahead, it's going to be very difficult for you to then handle yourself by midday. You may end up being grumpy. You may end up feeling just lagging and just lackluster, without any brightness in you. And then you're wondering why people don't want to be around you, or you're wondering why your kids are irritated by you, or your husband is irritated by you, or you're irritated by yourself. You're unhappy because you did not take the time to understand your non-negotiables, your needs and your wants the first half of the day. And so by midday, and again, this could be, early evening, you then have to ask yourself again, where do I stand right now? Am I at a 10? Did I refill myself just fine? Could have been really one of those beautiful days where you're like, man, I have really gotten myself to this 10 and it feels good. Now I can go and help other people. That's the kind of day where you're like, hey, you're calling on friends. Hey, do you need me for something? Can I stop by and help you out? When you're at a 10, it's great to be able to give. But if you are then rating yourself midday and go, oh my goodness, it's been a tough day, I'm at a 5 right now, then recuperate. Get yourself back into your center, and then ask yourself, how much time do I need to maybe get myself back to a 7, to an 8? What do I need to do now that I'm dealing with I've done my non-negotiables? What do I now need to do to make sure that I can refill myself? And then get back to your wants once you addressed your needs in giving. Again, I've got to go home and I've got to go make dinner. I've got to go home and I've got to go and clean the house, right? I've got to go home and set up for someone who's coming over, right? If that was a plan you made, just do your best to plan for your day and know where you stand from the beginning to the very end. And then that way, when you go back and face another day, you are feeling like, okay, I can rate myself every day and know how much I have to give. I can go back midday and know how much I have to give. And then again, knowing your non-negotiables, your needs and your wants. That way you are always thinking about, where am I in my self-love, in my filling up myself, so that I'm able to give to others. And so hopefully you are able to get from that it is important to know how to give, and knowing first that you cannot give if you have nothing within yourself to give, and that it is not fair to those around you, that if you are trying to give to them and then you're spiteful that you're giving because you are running on empty, it's not their fault. You should have self-assessed that. You should have determined where you were, in giving, because it is okay to say no and saying, this is all I can handle right now. People who love you will find a way to understand that. And if they are feeling empty themselves, and if they may even seem like they don't understand, giving them that silence, just walking away, they'll work it out. They will fake time because of that love. And again, you don't have to like everybody that you love at a given moment. And it's the same way with you. They don't have to like you, but because they love you, they will find it in their heart to understand, you know what? She's just not there right now. And I know that they remember your greatness. And with that love, it will continue. So in the words of my mother, God bless us all. Just keep doing you. Keep giving to others without giving too much. Never, ever just give away all of you. Because if you give away all of you, then you have nothing else left. And you don't want to be in that position. Self-assess. Take a time to reflect. Find yourself from within. And love yourself no matter what. Give yourself permission to say, I need time to find me, and just enjoy who you are every moment that you can, because the best you can do is what you are able to give at that time. Have a great day, everyone. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time.